Samsung might have just solved Foldable's biggest problem. And I'm not talking about durability or software. I'm talking about that crease. You know, the one thing everyone notices the second they pick up a Galaxy Z Fold? Well, new leaks suggest the Galaxy Z Fold 8 is getting a display technology that could reduce that crease by 20%. And the way they're doing it, it's actually pretty genius. Let's break it down. So here's what's happening. Samsung Display just showcased a near crease-free foldable OLED panel at CES 2026, and according to industry sources, this tech is coming to the Galaxy Z Fold 8. The secret? Dual ultra-thin glass. Instead of just one layer of ultra-thin glass on the top cover window like current foldables, Samsung's putting UTG on both the top and bottom layers of the OLED panel. And early reports claim this delivers around a 20% reduction in crease depth compared to the Galaxy Z Fold 7. 20% might not sound massive, but when it comes to that visible line down the middle of your screen, every improvement counts. But it's not just about slapping on extra glass. Samsung Display has apparently refined the entire internal structure of the display. We're talking about improved laminated layers, enhanced light dispersion, and here's the really interesting part, a modified backplate with laser-drilled micro holes. Think about it like this. When you fold the phone, all that stress has to go somewhere. Those laser-drilled micro holes spread that stress more evenly across the panel, which helps reduce long-term crease formation. It's basically engineering the display to handle the constant folding and unfolding without developing that permanent line we've all gotten used to. Now, Samsung Display is expected to supply foldable OLED panels for both Samsung Electronics and Apple. But here's where it gets interesting. The panels won't be identical. Apple is reportedly leaning toward a glass-based support structure, while Samsung may prefer that laser-drilled metal support plate to balance flexibility and durability. So even with similar technology, the crease behavior could be different between the two devices over time. What's fascinating is that this dual ultra-thin glass approach was originally linked mainly to Apple's first foldable iPhone, but now industry sources believe Samsung Electronics is also seriously considering the same solution for the Galaxy Z Fold 8. And it makes sense. Ultra-thin glass is mature, readily available, and costs less than developing entirely new materials from scratch. Samsung's been using UTG since the original Galaxy Z Flip, so they know how to work with it. Of course, Samsung Electronics hasn't finalized the design yet. They're still weighing some critical factors: device weight, heat dissipation, production yield, and ultimately pricing, because at the end of the day, this all has to make sense for a product launching in the second half of 2026. But if they do adopt this dual ultra-thin glass structure, it could mark a significant step forward for foldables in general. And the display improvements aren't happening in isolation. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 is shaping up to be a proper upgrade across the board. We're looking at a massive 100-megapixel main camera with a bigger aperture for better low-light performance, a new 50-megapixel ultra-wide, a huge jump from current models, a new 12-megapixel 3x telephoto for improved zoom quality. The phone is reportedly getting lighter, coming in at 200 grams. That's impressive considering foldables have historically been heavy devices. And perhaps most importantly, a bigger 5,000 mAh battery with faster charging. Battery life has always been a compromise on foldables, so this is a welcome change. What this really shows is that the foldable market is maturing. Manufacturers aren't just focused on making phones that fold anymore, they're focused on making phones that fold well, without the compromises we've accepted for years. The crease has been the elephant in the room since the very first Galaxy Fold. Everyone knows it's there, everyone sees it, but we've all just kind of dealt with it. If Samsung can genuinely reduce that by 20% while also making the phone lighter, more capable, and longer lasting, that's the kind of generational improvement foldables desperately need. So yeah, dual ultra-thin glass, laser-drilled metal backplates, a 200-megapixel camera, and a phone that actually weighs less than its predecessor. The Galaxy Z Fold 8 is setting up to be the foldable that finally addresses the complaints we've had since day one. Whether it's enough to convince non-foldable users to make the switch, we'll have to wait until the second half of 2026. Let me know in the comments if you'd consider a foldable with a significantly reduced crease. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.